Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at Terastal Festival. Yeah, that's right. Like an hour or two ago, I uploaded a video showing you Flareon EX, showing you Larry's professionalism, and I told you that the reveal of Terastal Festival was coming. The reveal was kind of ongoing as I was uploading that previous video. I was able to chuck in better quality images of Flareon and Larry in that video, but we were not ready to talk about the set as a whole. That video's done, that video's out there. If you want to know my thoughts on both Flareon and Larry, both of which incidentally I think are very good cards, then go check out that video. It's cool. But we know a lot about Terastal Festival now, so let's have a bit of a gander. So, what do you need to know about it? Well, look, they've given us a little fact sheet here, and it says that in every pack, there is a Pokémon EX. Obviously, there is a Pokémon EX in every pack, because that's what we always see here. In these high-class packs, take Shiny Treasures EX, for instance, last year's special set, that had this as well, so that makes perfect sense and all. Lovely. Point number 2 here tells us that there's going to be a bunch of tournament decks being re-released. Or not tournament decks, but kind of like cards that are good in tournaments. There we go. And then point number 3 is basically there's going to be new illustrations and lovely mirror effect cards. So we know a bunch of these. Let's start digging in. Now, in terms of tournament level cards, one of the things they've gone and shown us here is 2 of the A-specs that are getting reprinted, Prime Catcher and Legacy Energy, and then that shouldn't really surprise anyone. Prime Catcher is like hands down the absolute best A-spec we've had so far. Like, there's no real competition here. Yes, there are plenty of other A-specs that are good and are seeing a bunch of play, but in terms of trying to decide the best A-spec, it is 100% Prime Catcher. Legacy Energy, I mean, it's an absolute staple in Lugia decks, for instance, and Cerulege decks are going to be playing it. It's not necessarily as good as Prime Catcher or seeing play in as many decks as Prime Catcher, but that doesn't mean it's not a very, very, very good card. So, these aren't going to be the only A-specs, let's be perfectly clear. There are going to be others. These are just the 2 they've shown us during the initial reveal. There will be others. They've also gone and shown us a few other cards that are just being straight reprinted. Glass Trumpet, Terra Orb, Buddy Buddy Poffin, Bug Catching Set, Colrus, Janine, and Area Zero Underdepths. These are very, very, very good cards. These are cards that see a bunch of play. Now, Terra Orb we haven't actually had yet, but it seems pretty cool. And like Janine and Colrus aren't as good as, say, Buddy Buddy Poffin and Area Zero Underdepths, but this is telling us what we generally expect from these end-of-year Japanese sets, which is we're going to get a bunch of new fancy special cards, which is going to be lovely, but we're also going to get a bunch of straight reprints. Basically, if you're playing in Japan, if you want to play the Pokemon TCG, if you want to build up a nice little staple of playable cards, well, these end-of-year sets are absolutely phenomenal. They are just filled to the brim. Like, every pack gets you a Pokemon EX, which is cool, but then every pack also gets you a bunch of playable cards. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And again, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's going to be plenty of others that are revealed over the next few weeks until we actually get to the release of the set. But this is just a bit of a smidge. Oh, I never gave it a release date, did I? Yeah, 6th of December. Obviously, I told you that before. But now it's actually official. 6th of December is the official confirmed release date. So give us a couple of weeks to go and buy a bunch of cards before the whole Christmas thing kicks in quite nicely. Awesome. Now, as well as just straight reprints, as we would expect in a set like this, we are getting a bunch of alternate arts. And the cool thing is, we've actually seen a bunch of these already. Japan are basically catching up with where we are. So if we take, for instance, oh look, it's Iron Leaves. Is that a brand new Iron Leaves? Well, for Japan it is. That is not a brand new Iron Leaves for us. We've already had that as a tin promo. Oh, Iron Valiant. Is that a brand new Iron Valiant? Well, not for us. In Japan it is. We've actually already had this Iron Valiant. It wasn't a tin promo, it was in the Iron Valiant EX box. And that's the kind of thing I tell you quite a lot. When we have these exclusive alternate art cards that Japan doesn't get, most of them, not all, but most of them end up in the end of year sets. And then we've got this Iron Bundle. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting. Because this Iron Bundle you might recognise as a pre-release promo from Paradox Rift. Japan doesn't get all the pre-release promos in their end-of-year set. They get some of them, but take the amazing Okacheke Togekiss, for instance, never got a release in Japan. Just not a thing, don't know why, couldn't tell ya. The Higanosuke Tapu Lele from Lost Thunder. Again, I don't know why. Just never actually ended up getting a Japanese release. So here, I can't tell you with absolute certainty, but the likelihood is that we're going to see a situation like we've seen in the past couple of years, and we really do have a few years worth of sets to talk about with here. We can say that Japan is going to be getting some of our pre-release promos, but is not going to be getting all of our pre-release promos. It still weirds me out. Why would they not get them all? I don't understand it. Like, it makes no real difference putting a few extra cards in the set, I imagine. And there's got to be Japanese people that are really annoyed with the fact that we have these English exclusive ones. Makes no real sense to me, but there we go. Having a look at the Tatsugiri, which again was a pre-release promo for us. Like I said, they're going to get a bunch. If the last few years are anything to go by, they're not going to get them all. But this was the Twilight Masquerade Tatsugiri. We've then got straight reprints of Petulant, of Jirachi, and of Noctowl. And again, you'll notice they're going for playable cards. Jirachi hasn't necessarily seen that much play, but Petulant and Noctowl have proven to be top-tier cards. Although while we're here, we should mention quickly there is a brand new Hoot Hoot in the set, one that has not been released anywhere else before. It's not particularly stunning in that regard, but it's got an ability that says it can't be put to sleep. So yeah, new Hoot Hoot. And then we've got Blood Moon Ursaluna. And this, of course, is the alternate art that we haven't quite got yet, but we are going to be getting it very shortly in the Blood Moon Ursaluna EX box, which, again, this is a kind of thing we do. We sometimes get these cards before Japan, and they catch up in their end-of-year set. Over here, we can see that we've got ourselves a new version of Walking Wake, except it was just a tin promo for us, as you might imagine, and a new version of Roaring Moon, which was in the Roaring Moon EX box, the counterpart to the Iron Valiant one that I showed you just a moment ago. And then this is interesting, because over here we got a bunch of straight reprints, Terapagos and Garchomp, Terapagos being proper top tier, Garchomp being big potential, not yet full on top tier. But then a new version of Teal Mask Ogerpon. Now this is an interesting one, because we haven't even had this Ogerpon in UK, US, Europe, etc. yet. This is actually an alternate art that they've had in Korea. This was just a special card they've had in Korea. That's where we've seen it previously. So, yeah. It was a Korean promo, which we've not had, and now Japan is catching up. So they're not just catching up with us, they are apparently getting a bunch of cards that, for whatever reason, they've not been able to find their way to previously. Cool. But when I gave it this little description at the start, I didn't just tell you there were going to be new illustrations, I also told you about mirror cards. Check out Terra Orb and Gibble. What we got here are a couple of what are very clearly the new style of reverse holo, and they are new style of reverse holo. We have not seen this print before. In previous special sets, we've had these reverse holos, they're standard, but we haven't had this particular style of reverse holo before with the Pokeball and I don't know what to call that. It looks like Terra shapes and all of that, right? And the general rule is, because again, we've had these sets for years, we know this by now. Every card that is not an EX, etc., is going to be available in this. So all of your commons and uncommons and all of that, they are all going to be available with this finish. And there should be one per pack unless there's an illustration rare. And that's the final point we need to make in this video today. Because, now we've seen Flareon and Eevee, but usually in these special sets, we get a bunch of shiny Pokemon or a bunch of character rares or something like that, and here nothing. The only special cards they've shown us are Eevee and Flareon. So are we getting a bunch of new EXs and then just not getting any special kind of card? Because that would be weird, frankly. That is generally not how these end-of-year sets go. Could be wrong, as always. But generally speaking, these end-of-year sets have a bunch of either alternate art cards or shiny cards or things along those lines. And as it stands at the moment, that has not been shown off from this set. And you would imagine if we were getting it, that would be in the initial reveal. So right now, this seems like a weird set. Because we've got a new reverse holo pattern, that's expected. Bunch of straight reprints, that's expected. Bunch of alternate arts that other places have had that they're catching up with. All of this is expected. But we would also expect to see a new type of card, shiny, old art character rare, whatever. And a bunch of those that we're chasing. And right now, it really does just seem like these EX Eevees. Again, now we've got a good look at the booster pack. You can see very clearly the Glaceon and Umbreon being confirmed. But it is going to be, and now that we've got Flareon as well, I mean, come on. We're getting all the evolutions, but is that it? Are we just getting a reprint set with a bunch of random old arts like normal, and then just, like, a few EXs? And no special kind of card? Maybe. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. For now, I've told you everything I can tell you about the set, so now it's over to you guys. Give me your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings, your predictions, and everything else in the comment section. Get us! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Stegoraptor, who's been a supporter of ours for a long time now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.